What's up, ladies and gentlemen? We appreciate you tuning into the Big Honker podcast. This podcast is brought to you by LuckyDuck.com. Listen, they are the leaders in motion wing decoys. If you're duck hunting this year, you need spinners. You need a lot of them. Head over to LuckyDuck.com. They got them. They're waterproof. They run off remotes. They've also got amazing A-frames. So go over to LuckyDuck.com.
Makes a huge difference in your dove hunting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Dove season's still going on for a lot of people right now. So you're basically decoying dove. It makes for a lot easier shooting, not having to go through your shotgun shells. LuckyDuck.com. Next, we are brought to you by Bull and Briar Leather. If you head over to Bull and Briar Leather, LLC.com, they've got amazing stuff. They've got duck totes, rattlesnake belts, custom duck foot belt buckles, duck head belt buckles. They got polos out right now. A lot of cool stuff going on with Bull and Briar Leather. They sent me an incredible duck tote that I cannot wait to use this year.
Go to Bull and Briar. It's a great place for gifts. Christmas time's coming. They got belt bags, wallets, apparel. They got everything. You've got shoes. They got some Hey Dude. So go and check them out at Bull and Briar Leather, LLC.com.
All made in America, too. Big thing. Next, we are brought to you by Boss Shot Shells. It makes such a difference shooting a premium shotgun shell. All American made, superior grade, copper plated bismuth. It's what we shoot out here every single day. It puts a hurting on the dove. I've had Reese Boy out there shooting Boss at dove. He's a small guy and he needs every advantage he can get. First year shooting makes a hell of a difference. 2 3/4 3.5 blend is my go-to shotgun shell. I use that from everything from mallards, geese, cranes. Doesn't matter. It's what I'm shooting every day. 2 3/4 inch 3.5s in my shotgun shell bag and set it and forget it type of thing.
You're going to spend money to go on a hunt, buy equipment, buy gear. Why shoot trash? Shoot Boss. It's the best stuff in the market.
BossShotShells.com. Next, we're brought to you by Shin Gear. All of their stuff is top notch. We got some of our stuff just a couple days ago. Got the brand new wax canvas sweater. That thing is going to be incredible to use this year. They've got vests. They've got jackets. Their bibs are what I wear every single day. This is going on the 3rd or 4th year in the bibs. I've not had a single issue. The zippers are phenomenal. That's always the first thing that goes out on bibs. The zippers. They're phenomenal. I've not ran across one of their garments yet that I've been like, ooh, they missed the ball on this. So check them out, shingear.com, and you can get whatever you're going to need for this coming year. I can be cold or wet, but I can't be both at the same time. With Shin Gear, neither one is a problem.
The wax canvas coat is amazing. It's a good-looking jacket. You could wear it to a nice dinner, a nice restaurant, keep you warm, or you can hunt in it. It's good stuff. Old barn coat, look from back in the day. Great material, great folks at Shin Gear.
Next, we're brought to you by Pacific Calls. If you will use our promo code BHP25, you can save yourself 25% off at checkout. They've got the best specklebelly call that I've ever blown, the 530. Their duck call, that's my favorite, is the PCD. It's a single reed duck call. It feels good in the hand. It blows great. I love it. And then if you're looking for a lesser call, the BA lesser call is something that you need to check out. It's short, it's sweet, it screams. You can get fast on it. You can get loud on it. Scream at those lessers. Use our promo code BHP25 for whatever you're going to need. Your entire shopping cart is 25% off at checkout. They've got some new duck calls coming out. PC24 looks like they're sold out in a couple different colors, but always innovating up there. Trevor and Alex are great guys, so check them out, PacificCustomCalls.com. Up next, we are brought to you by Dive Bomb Industries. They have changed the silhouette game. It's easier now than ever before. I am a stickler for having a clean trailer. Dive Bomb makes that easy because all their silhouettes pack up nice and neat. They go in bags. Bags go on shelves. It's easier now than ever before to stay organized, and you can run a lot of decoys for not a lot of money. There's no better way to have a big spread than running silhouettes. So it's what we use out here. Every single species that you can go after, Canada, spec, snows, ducks, they got them all. They got a floater line out if you're hunting marshes or water. Dive Bomb Industries is the way to go. Next, we're brought to you by Ducks Unlimited. For 85 years, no organization has done more to protect the wetlands. They are the leader in wetland conservation. Ducks Unlimited conserves, restores, and manages wetlands and associated habitats for North America's waterfowl. They got their Into the Vault sale coming up next month, right around Thanksgiving, so be looking forward to that. Ducks.org, figure out a way to get involved. Start a chapter, join a chapter. The money that they raise goes right back into wetland conservation. They're putting ducks back into the sky for us hunters. So great organization, and we're proud to be associated with them. Up next, we are brought to you by MLR Graphics. If you need t-shirts, hats, hoodies, check out Michael with MLR Graphics. They're who we use every year out here, and they do amazing work right there in Breckenridge, Texas. So check them out, mlrgraphics.com. We're also brought to you by Mossberg. The Mossberg 940 waterfowl gun. It's the gun I shoot. Never had an issue out here. I've hunted with it in rain, windstorms, dust storms, never misses a beat. It's an incredible product. If you are a waterfowl hunter and you need something that can keep up with you, I highly suggest that you check out the Mossberg 940 waterfowl gun. That is at mossberg.com. We're also brought to you by BritLabs.com, Double T British Kennels, sweet dogs. British dogs, they're incredible citizens, and then they are absolute units out in the field. I've had the pleasure of watching a couple of Corey's dogs work. They're great dogs out in the field, and then when you get them home, they're just a big old love bug. So if you are needing a puppy, a started dog, or a finished dog, contact Corey, BritLabs.com, tell him what you're looking for, and then he can get you pointed in the right direction. Incredible bloodline. Next, we're brought to you by the Looking Glass Podcast. Logan and Rebel put on a hell of a show. Head over to their Patreon account right now. Get subscribed to it. They put out a show every Thursday, and they're fun for those long drives. They got a bourbon review. If you're a bourbon drinker, listen to them and steer you in the right direction. Head over to their Patreon, get subscribed. Next, we're brought to you by Dirty Duck Coffee. No matter what kind of coffee drinker you are, Dirty Duck has a blend for you. And they are also in the K-Cup world. So if you're a single cup kind of guy, get the K-Cup, pour it in your coffee mug, out the door you go. I do like the Suns Up, Guns Up, and I'm a cold brew kind of guy. Whatever kind of coffee drinker you are, Dirty Duck tailors to you. Check them out at dirtyduckcoffee.com. And they've also got incredible merchandise, shirts and hoodies and the like. Up next, we are brought to you by Mallard Bay. If you are an outfitter and you're having trouble selling hunts, I'd suggest you head over to mallardbay.com. They can put you on their list of vetted outfitters, and you can get in front of a lot of people. So if you're having trouble selling hunts, or if you're looking to book your next adventure, head over to Mallard Bay. You can simply type in whatever you're looking for. It can be a fishing charter, a hunting trip, whatever it is. Type in what you're looking for, and then all the results will pop up, and then you can go from there. Easier now than ever before to book a hunt at mallardbay.com. Next, we're brought to you by Hemp Hill Farm. That is farm with a PH. You can use our promo code BHP. Get high quality CBD gummies. They got salves, they got roll-ons, high quality CBD. Come straight to your door. Getting old sucks. You get a lot of ouchies. CBD helps. It really does. I've got a couple nagging injuries, and CBD helps me with my pain management. They also have a pet CBD, so if you've got a dog that gets a little bit too wound up in the mornings, put a dropper full of that on his tongue before you go out. And
they have a new program right now. If you buy anything from them, they're going to send you the pet CBDs.
Very cool. Very cool. So take care of your hunting buddies. Hunting seasons are hard on those dogs. CBD helps. HempHillFarm.com. Up next, we're brought to you by Mitch Hall Chevrolet. It's where Jeff has gotten every single one of his vehicles out there in Haskell. MitchHallHaskell.com. If you're in the market for a new Chevy, give them a call, do a little bit of price shopping, see what they can do on a new vehicle, and then get the ball rolling that way. They're great people. They'll take care of you. Customer service is at the forefront of every single thing that they do. So check them out, MitchHallHaskell.com. Last but certainly not least, we are brought to you by Stanfield Hunting Outfitters. Got a couple dates available.
November 21st and 22nd. Got a special deal. It's $800 for 2 days, goose hunt, lodging, and meals. Come in on the 19th or 20th. Check-ins 4, dinner 6 o'clock. Come in and hunt 21st, 22nd, $800 lodging and meals for 2 morning goose hunts.
Love you, bye. Watch for deer. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom! And welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Bull and Briar Leather Company. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world famous Andy Shaver.
Christmas right around the corner. Your wife would love a nice American-made handbag.
Well, they've got some nice bags too. Check Check him out at bullandbriar.com. With us today from Memphis, Tennessee. Well, he's probably not in Memphis. He's south of Memphis, out of the crime area. My good friend, Pat Pitt. Pat, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine, getting a little rest after 9 days of spec hunting.
Pat, I just
Andy got his ass whooped this morning.
bent over and they just whop, whop, whop. But in my defense, we've had 3 inches of rain in 2 days. So I had a plan A, I had a plan B, and I had a little bit of a plan C, and I got all the way. I had to go to plan F today. So
The plan A would have worked though, because there's about 10,000 birds sitting where plan A was.
Yeah, if I would have been able to get to where plan A was, I'd have had a really good hunt. But when I got all the way to like plan E and F, I was like, well, it's gonna be what it's gonna be.
You need a fly swatter, Pat? Tell him.
Yeah, I got a fly swatter fly bottom. Hang on.
Got him.
Nope. That's an elusive little fucker. That's one of them great. It's one of them graders. So how's the spec hunting been in Arkansas so far?
Well, we had a good spec season. Plenty birds. A world of juveniles. We were killing 3-4 to 1 juveniles over adults. I mean, looked like a good hatch, but I hear numbers are down. I don't know who to believe. So you couldn't say they were down if you were in our neighborhood.
Well, I don't know about you, but I see more people like on social media shooting specklebellies, and it seems like they're shooting them everywhere.
Yep.
So I don't understand why they would say they're down.
Yeah, I don't either. I mean, walk out there in one of those fields in Texas and kick a fire ant mound and try to count them.
Right? Yeah.
That's about the way I think it's done. I mean, unless you take an aerial photograph. But I mean, I think the reason they're getting so much attention is, one, because they're photo migrators and they're getting down on the prairie quicker, earlier. We're starting to see a few snows show up and some Roskies, but it's 10,000 to 1 on them. But specs, when you first started spec hunting, when I first started spec hunting, heck, a dozen decoys in a kazoo, you could call them in.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just like snow geese, they've gotten smarter. We're dealing with some huge flocks coming off reservoirs and rest areas, and once they get broke up and split up and on the ground, we're doing better with just little bunches like you normally would. That we can suck in, looking for a place to go. They're getting a lot of pressure in our area too. I mean, 20-30 guys in a spread, and when they cut into a flock, they'll dump a flat of shells, it sounds like. I end up picking up dead and cripples around their reservoirs. I hate to see that, but it's something. Well, it's the coming thing, or it's been here for several years.
Yeah, I can remember when we first started seeing more specs. I could just take a Canada call and just make that specklebelly cadence into a Canada call, and that would work.
Yep.
I didn't even own a specklebelly call for a long time.
Well, the first specklebelly call I got, I don't even know who made it, but heck, I was a hero with it. I mean, we were calling in, big bunches, and but they've gotten smarter. I think they're in the safety and numbers category like snow geese, and I think the more people you got calling, probably the better off you are. It's not so much as calling specs; it's talking to them. There's a difference, I think. But if you can get them to say something, you say something back. But it's a work in progress every morning you go out. Some mornings you have to call them to the ground. Some mornings, you get their attention and punch a safety off. Every day's different. That's why you go. But
Yeah.
I've seen we've used a flag every now and then to get their attention. It doesn't work generally as well as Canada's, but it will work. Concealment, I think, is a big thing because our pits flip tops like A-frames or panels or whatever we're using, but we keep both sides up. We you know we can peek out through the cracks and the slits. Um, I think they're getting more and more wary. Gosh, you're gonna get killed. But we're seeing this tremendous number. I got a video I'll send you guys. There's a bunch of specks going into roost next to us, and it just looked like snow geese back in the old days when they'd show up in masses.
Mm-hmm.
But we started seeing the first specks on our end of the prairie was shortly after teal season, right after the 30th of September.
Oh wow, y'all got them early then.
We started getting imprinted birds. I worked we worked a banding project on a farm down south of us, cased and short on the buyer's farm, and put a transmitter on, I don't know, 17, 18 females mostly, I think. One of those females came from Alaska. I'm talking all the way up Coville River area. She came to Arkansas, and she was there before the end of September. Uh, she was already, back where she was imprinted. And that's a big thing on specs, too. They imprint the prairies uh, just like mallards and anything else. But the specs, they seem to gravitate toward these same areas in Arkansas that we've got.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're in northeast Arkansas.
What is the how is the two bird limit affecting everybody in Arkansas? I've heard some people complain about it. How is that?
Well, I'm sorry, the ones that are complaining about it are the ones that are greedy, I think. I like the idea of two specs: get in, get out, and give them a little rest. Arkansas this year, we've got a 9-day spec season, and now we're down until I think the 26th of October before
November.
starts ducks and everything else opens back up, and they've shut it down during the splits too, which I think is good. Uh, these birds get pressured right out of existence. It's just a big thing with me. I know y'all seen it on the prairie down there too.
Yeah. What's interesting is, so this is our third day of goose season. We've shot 3 bands in 3 days, and they're all from basically the same area. Last year we did something similar. It was
You killed 4 bands the first week.
like the first week, 4 or 5 bands that first week. But after that, we don't shoot any bands. Or last year we didn't, at least. So whatever birds are coming down first, obviously was a part of some banding project.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just weird
Well,
that like we're getting them now, and then I guess they'll leave and they'll be filled up with something else, and I don't know.
Well, I've only seen and heard of a couple in our area. We hadn't killed any. Did last year, but the the more juveniles you kill, the less opportunity you have to get a banded one.
Yeah.
But the way they band them up on the tundra, when they're flightless, they herd them and into pens and so I know they band juveniles. I've killed juveniles with bands, but it seemed like we get a higher ratio of bands with adult birds.
Yeah. I've never shot a band. I've never shot a band of juvie. Ever. They've always been tarbellies.
One of them was 14 years old.
Yeah, the opening day bird that we shot, it was 14 years old. Yesterday's bird was banded in 23, but it was an adult when they caught it, and I don't know about today's.
Well, I've killed 2 juveniles with bands. Oddly, the first banded spec I ever killed was banded at the mouth of the Collateral River up on the Arctic Ocean, the Beaufort Sea, and I killed it hunting out of buck snag down on Lissy or Garwood Prairie one. I forget where I was down there, but the club was a buck snag. I don't know if you ever heard of it or not, but anyway, it was on a Garwood Prairie, and it was actually the first Monell metal band I had ever seen, and that was back in 1972 or three.
Wow.
And it was a 13-year-old bird. Smart ones live longer, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's amazing, Pat, all your travels to go to the Garwood Prairie now and what it has become from what it was back then, because I got to hunt there in the 80s and there was 2 or 3 million birds down there at the time. It's absolutely nuts that that whole area and all those birds and everything are completely gone in 40 years.
Wow. That's amazing. It's sad.
It
really.
is.
I've seen, we went to, where'd we go? To Texas, just right outside of Houston, in the teal hunted this year with a guy I'd met. And heck, places I'd killed geese in the past were shopping centers and hotels. And it's just amazing the way it's changed down there. I mean, I was in the Eagle Lake area, and I didn't recognize what used to be, because once you got outside of Houston, you were in the middle of God's nowhere, and that's changed drastically. I mean, and that's a thing to think about. You've got to have a breeding ground for them, and you got to have a place for them to go, and not get harassed from daylight to dark.
Yeah, I haven't been down there in a long time, but I've basically heard like from Austin to Houston, it's just kind of one big.
Well, that area
you don't know for very long when you're leaving one and coming into the other.
Katy area used to be a small town. We would go to Eagle Lake, and we used to go to Johnny Sporting Goods was there, and they were open at 4 o'clock in the morning, and they had everything in the world. You could buy any kind of hunting gear you needed at 4 a.m. there, hunting license, shells, everything. And they had a little hotel there, and they had a place that had a buffet to eat at, and it was all camouflage and everything. And I'm speaking out of turn, but I'm betting you if you go there today, none of that's still around.
Well, we stayed in Eagle Lake. That's some of the first. We stayed in Eagle Lake when I killed that spec, and that banded spec. And there was a motel we stayed in. There was a car wash, and then there was a restaurant. And I mean, that's back when Tyler and all them were, Marvin Tyler were guiding, and I can remember we'd come out of those muddy fields and we'd take our guns to the car wash and wash them out. But we stayed in Katy this trip, and gosh, they got a huge mall there. I mean, it's the fellow I was hunting with. He said this used to be one of the best goose hunting areas we had down here, and it's leveled with houses and condos on it. Everything's changing. Arkansas is changing. Gosh, land prices are just crazy over there. I've seen 1,400 acres sell for $44 million.
Jeez,
it'd be a rich man's game.
I was a guy told me yesterday that was in Arkansas. So one of the things they're competing with now is some of those solar farms are going in and they're getting up that property, and they're giving $3,000 an acre for a 50-year lease on your property. You own a quarter of a section of land, 160 acres. You're getting $500,000 a year. That's hard not to put that in that program.
Well, it's hard to turn it down. It's just like the wind farms out in Texas. I drove, my son and my oldest son and I, we drove from Memphis area to Arizona to hunt Mexican ducks and quail and this, that, and the other. And we drove all the way across the state of Texas, and I never seen so many wind farms in my life.
They're not making solar money though. I can promise you that money's not nothing even close to that. You're getting
really
one stick may get you anywhere from 12 to 20,000 a year, and they can only put one stick on every 60 acres maybe. So maybe a section of land or a quarter of a section of land, 160 acres, you might get 4 sticks on it, maybe, and make $50,000 a year as opposed to making $500,000 a year on solar farms?
Well, we've got solar farms in our area now, and a lot of the farmers are putting some acreage into solar farms to run their their rice bins and whatnot, to run the blowers on them. But there's some that are just you can't see the end of them on some of these places, and that's taken a lot of production out, for food source. But I think the only thing tougher than being a farmer is being a professional gambler, because it's a risk. Land rent is crazy up here. A couple $100 an acre just to rent a piece of ground.
Yeah.
Or more. I don't know if you bought a new combine lately, but they don't give them away either.
No, you're looking at $250,000 for a combine.
Shit, more than that.
More than that.
I bet 3/4.
Oh yeah, more than that.
That's what I meant.
That'll get you a header.
Yeah.
I talked.
We got a kid from he's coming to work. He's been to work for us for a long time, but he'll be here this week. And just wrapped up harvest. Said he had one of the best harvests he's ever had, and he's going to make the least amount of money he's ever made farming.
Well, the rice, when they first started cutting rice, and we had some of all this rain from the hurricane and whatnot, put everything behind. They're cutting beans now. Finally got all the rice out, but they weren't getting like $6 a bushel on rice, and you got to cut a lot of rice per acre, to offset or to make something anyway. Mm-hmm. That's why duck leases are used to lease money. A lot of farmers I do would give it to their wives and say, go shopping or plan a trip somewhere. And now they say, where we can get fuel and fertilizer and everything else. I mean, it's a part of their income, and leases aren't getting any cheaper, that's for sure.
I had I talked to a good friend of mine today that's a farmer in Oklahoma, and he told me that he's planting cotton ever again. So just the input cost is so expensive on it. And he goes, well, I'm done on cotton. And we're seeing less and less cotton here. I know there's some places probably cotton's growing, but we had 5 gins within 30 miles of Knox City 10 years ago, and now we got 1 working gin. And that's that way everywhere. It's either big gins that are all going out of business. EPA gets involved and makes them put in all the new requirements for clean air and stuff, and they're done.
Well, it's happening everywhere, and we're seeing more corn planted in Arkansas than each year, which, we never used to see corn planted. I mean, one of my farmers, one of my best friends and farmers is he and his dad have been at it, and he told me, he said, we're rice farmers. We're always going to be rice farmers. We're always going to plant rice. And they've got 2 or 3 of the biggest combines that John Deere has made, with 30, 40-foot headers on them. But they're having to cut a lot of acreage to make ends meet. And the average hunter, I don't think, realizes what it takes to produce duck food, and it's just a minor consideration for them. I mean, they're trying to get as much as they can up off the ground, of course. We had a lot of rice this year that went down from that hurricane, and they had to deadhead it, which is very time consuming, very costly, very slow. You can only cut deadheaded rice in one direction. You got to turn around and then go back. It was a nightmare for them, and that's generally when I stay out of their way and don't ask stupid questions like, when are you going to get my field flooded, or when are you going to cut this levee for me? I don't say a word, Have
you seen, are your specs using the corn that you're seeing in Arkansas?
Well, with this warm weather, it was 82 degrees Sunday, last day we hunted specs. We got volunteer corn in some fields 2 feet high, but geese were going in there. But we're seeing, it's hard to, cornfields if you got a pit out there, generally you can't get it in a levee. It's harder to flood. Uh, if you flood a big flat field that's been leveled, whichever way the wind blows is where it's going to push your water. So I mean, it'll push. We're flooding 8 to 10 inches, but a big enough wind will push that water away from the pit or away from the levee. Uh, and it's hard to pull fresh levees and get them to hold. If it's not a rice levee that's been in there all season, uh, a good wind will push those levees out, and they don't pump water cheaply anymore either.
I just noticed that we never had a ton of success with specklebellies in the corn here for whatever reason. Because corn's starting to pop up here,
Well,
but they always tend to go to either the peanuts or the wheat.
yeah. Well, the good thing about specs compared to snows is they just clip the wheat off. Snows will dig it up, roots and all. But we got so much volunteer rice coming back up, and people think, well, all the stuff is the seeds have sprouted. It's not that. It's just like grass. It grows right up through the shoot that was cut off. But we got rice fields that look like wheat fields. There's so much green rice. We hadn't had a frost yet. Here it's November the 4th, and we hadn't had a killing frost. It's I hate to agree with Al Gore of all people, but it's definitely staying warmer longer. It seems like down here.
Yeah,
and we don't see anything coming for a while.
No, I'm kind of like you. I hate to agree with them, but I definitely think that things are changing. And I've said this before on the podcast. I just don't know to what extent you can place the blame on humans. You know what I mean? Because I think whenever you look throughout history long enough, the Earth's always warmed and cooled. And I think that we just got the unfortunate timing of being here when we were in a warming pattern. You know what I mean?
Well, I can agree with that. El Nino, La Nina, whatever. But another thing to think about is these big megatropolises like Houston, Minneapolis, all these big cities. We live outside of Memphis, and we'll be 5 degrees cooler than Memphis each day because they're generating so much heat in these. And, that's something to think about. I sit around and think sometimes, and a lot of times it gets me in trouble.
Yeah, I've never thought about that. That's a really good idea, though. That's a really good concept, because right now we're becoming more and more populated in certain areas than we ever have been before as a nation that we know about, and the heat that they're putting off just existing every day. Because you're right. We're always warmer.
Well, you get an easy way to explain that, I think. You get in a room with you and Jeff, and it's, pleasant, all right? You put 50 or 100 people in there, and all of a sudden it's a lot warmer. There's got to be some kind of credibility to that, but, there again, I don't make the rules.
No.
And physics wasn't my trump suit when I took it in college either. So,
and I wonder about the wind turbines and all the solar farms too, especially those solar farms.
Well, yeah, I mean that black solar farm reflecting heat is putting it, below the ozone layer. The solar farms, the wind farms, especially when they catch on fire, generate a lot of heat. But the number of birds that are getting killed by the wind farms is pretty graphic, and a lot of these big cities that leave all their skyscrapers lit up, a lot of birds crash into them at night. I mean, I've seen pictures of everything from turkeys to Tweety birds and ducks flying into these skyscrapers. So it's just like everything and everybody wants to kill a duck, whether they build something to do it or they buy something to shoot it with. But these oil pits are taking birds. I mean, they land on it and they're there. There's so many variables now, and I never thought I would say it, but I would love to see a 40-4 duck season. Uh, you're not glued down. You can always travel, but the average person that's hunting now, and I'm wanting to say maybe as high as 70%, have never hunted a season that wasn't a liberal season.
Yeah. Yeah. We've talked about that a lot with the guys from Ducks Unlimited. Everybody, all these new kids that are into it have never seen a restricted season before.
Yeah, the flat brimmed hat face
Yeah,
painters,
those
I
are the
call
ones.
them. That's them. Uh,
But
but
everybody freaks out. Well, what are we gonna do? The duck numbers are down. It's like they go down, right? Things dry up on the prairies, and duck numbers go down, and then rain comes, and the water up there has more food and bugs, and it's just a part of the natural cycle.
I wish we would go. I would, instead of taking 100 days away, I would rather make the limits half, a three duck limit. And the thing is, people that love to duck hunt are still going to go duck hunt. People want to hunt. We went through that with our specs. We were at first at one spec, and we had people here, and they'd shoot one spec, and we shoot something else. And we went to two specs, and it was really nice. Now we're actually at a 5 spec limit, but we're not shooting 5 specs. We're 3. Our limit at this lodge is 3. My buddy at Ranger Creek, he's at 3. Justin is, and that's what we're sticking at because we want to maintain our resources the whole year long. So we're going to be at 3 birds. People will go and shoot 3 ducks and be happy.
Well, that's a tool that I've talked with, Doug Larson. He writes for DU, the back page. He does it. He's a friend of mine. He hunts at our camp. We're doing a DU program, a show with him for several days this year. But, Doug is saying the blue collar duck hunters have got to police their own ranks. So and I tell my guys, if you shoot a limit of mallards, get out of the pit. Don't sit out there trying to shoot a shoveler or a teal or something. Let these birds have the field. You can't pressure them to the point or shoot them to the point they're non-existent. It's very commendable of you guys to go from 5 to 3. West Coast, what are they shooting? 7, 8?
Yes.
Something stupid. And plus, they have a conservation season on them, I think, in some areas. But the people that, now, don't get me wrong, I've been there before too. But people got to realize what the end result of all this is going to be. My grandkids, my grandson, my granddaughter, they like to hunt. And, we've got to leave some seed for the next generation because they're going to carry the torch. I don't like the idea of, shoot them till they're gone. Don't tell me that can't happen.
Yeah.
It just, people, like I say, people are greedy. When I first started duck hunting, it was 3 duck limit, 1 mallard, or 1 black duck. Couldn't kill both. Canvasbacks were closed. But we had better shooting and better decoy work. When RoboDucks hit the scene in 98, 99, I told my boys, I said, you're seeing the end of traditional decoying duck hunting. Because just like anything else, they learn quick. Mm-hmm. And the hens in the young of the year were so susceptible. So, you're losing the birds that are imprinted. Arkansas biologists estimated that 40% of their super hens were killed in those first 2 years of the spin wing, which the super hens are the ones that bring their brood, they're imprinted, bring their brood to the prairie. You extrapolate that with plus minus 3 sigma units, that's thousands of ducks from one hen that, don't make it down. But there again, it made people think they were duck hunters that weren't. One of my favorite quotes from Nash Buckingham was like, a duck call is the greatest conservation tool that's ever been made. And now you can add RoboDucks to it because, and if y'all use them, fine. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I go to Argentina and they're wanting to put them out. And I said, why? It's something else you got to fool with. But the ducks are they're responding to that, and people think that that's the only way to hunt. It's like taking a pacifier away from a 2-year-old if they can't have their robo duck. And so, you know, I see a lot, and I've done a lot, and my daddy always said, "You got 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. Talk, listen, and look more than you talk." And you know, people got to be cognizant of the fact that this ain't gonna last forever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your glory hole that you used to hunt may not be there next year because there's a condo sitting there. But the duck hunters that look and think about what they're doing. One of my best friends that's trained. I'm on my 5th or 6th dog from him, Chris Aiken. He's got a club, and they hunt to 8:30 in the morning
Mm-hmm.
and go back to the lodge. Okay, we don't hunt in the afternoon.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, it's the only way we will is like if we have a freeze in the morning and we get a thaw in the evening, we'll hunt. But that's only a few times a year. But you know, and don't get me wrong too. I blame a lot of this on the internet, where these guys get a pile and the next guy wants a bigger pile. Uh, I mean, it's chest thumping, and everybody wants to shoot a limit of ducks, but you don't have to shoot a mallard hen to finish out your limit. You don't have to shoot a pintail hen to finish out your limit. And I don't care what biologists say, a dead hen will never lay another egg.
Yeah.
Physically impossible. And I don't know any hunter that needs a hen mallard or a hen pintail or 5 specs to subsist on. Waterfowl hunting is the most expensive small game sport there is by far.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You know, when I was a kid, you know, I had a bird dog and a single shot shotgun, and you know, maybe $10 a year to hunt all season. But it there's just so much. There's just so much to think about. I mean, sometimes my head's like a cement mixer with marbles in it. I just get, you know, beside myself. And the main reason is for our future generation.
I think everything's just gotten so affordable. You know what I mean? Like when the spinning wing decoy first came out, like it's expensive, and then we got good at manufacturing them, and now they're cheap, so everybody can afford them, right? And they can afford a lot of them several times. You know, a lot of times they can afford 4, 5, or 6 spinning wings. So I think people, like you said, this is the most expensive small game sport that you'll ever see. The only way to become a millionaire as a waterfowl hunter is to start as a billionaire, right?
Exactly.
So I think that these things have gotten to a price point where people can afford them, and everybody wants to play with their new toy. Like, why did I buy that this year if I'm not ever going to put it out? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But they don't realize, like, let's keep a couple things for later in the year. I always say my philosophy of waterfowl hunting is I want to use the least amount of force to get the maximum result. And if that's 15 dozen decoys, then let's do that. And then we got somewhere to go as the season goes on.
I heard, you know, you was talking about the young people in greed. I heard that some guys in North Texas got into some specs yesterday, and they shot 60 birds with 12 guys. I don't understand
got
that.
Him.
Got him.
I don't understand that. I do not understand why you put yourself in that situation. I just don't get it. And I don't, and it's the same.
You can.
It's the same. Yeah. And it's completely legal. They didn't do nothing illegal or wrong, but it's like the guys in Oklahoma. You see, they got 20 guys in a blind. They shoot 160 small Canadas.
Yeah.
Eventually that's going to catch up to you.
You think about that, and you got to look at it this way too. All those specs, I guess they breasted them out, maybe not. You know, the best part of a spec's the legs and the thighs anyway. But there's so many birds that are killed, and it happens in Canada. It happens with the snow goose conservation season, and God bless Texas for stopping the conservation. I thought it was a waste. It wasn't doing anything. West Nile and bird flu was killing more than the conservation hunters, but it was just greasing a squeaky wheel to give something to shoot until April when turkey season opened. So, but yeah, I mean, you're able to do stuff legally that we never dreamed of. Back in that we had to do illegally. But it's just I look at that as a waste of the resource because you get 20 guys shooting into a flock of specks, and I don't care if it's 5 or 50. And as a taxidermist, you cannot believe the numbers of birds, especially geese, that I get that have had a radius, an ulna, a femur, a humerus, broken by a pellet and grown back together, inflicted shot up under the skin that encapsulates. And a lot of that is collateral damage. But you can't stop it.
I shot a dove this year that had something like that. I'm guessing I cut it open and I never found anything, but I took the breast off of it and he had like a abscess or something. And like I said, I took it off and I cut it open and I never did find anything, but I'm assuming he either got shot or it looked like grass was in it almost.
Steel shot will dissolve inside one of those encapsulations. Okay. I mean, it just rests away basically. But, when that pellet hits the breast and doesn't penetrate the vitals, the breast muscles work that that pellet out to between the meat and the skin, and it just sits there like a cyst. All right. But most of the time you can take that and pull it apart with your fingers, and you'll find a pellet in there. I found everything from 22 bullets to arrowheads and geese. So, it's just, I've got a quart jar full of pellets I've taken out of birds that I've skinned out. Why I save them, I don't know.
That's something
I
to
just
have.
think it's something that somebody else doesn't have.
Yeah. We know a guy, he, every turkey he kills, he'll take the gravel out of their, sack and he puts that, he
that's
keeps it in a jar.
Save the stones.
Yeah. I've never heard of that before.
That's what they say. Oh yeah. But, and of course, with them in the crop, they're nice and polished and pretty. I always thought about loading a shotgun shell up with them and try to kill a turkey with it, but I hadn't done it. But it just, I just wish everybody would sit back and relax and have a good time. The guys at my club, if we kill a duck, it's a bonus. We have a good time, good fellowship, good food. We laugh, we cut up, we tell jokes, we sit around the fire. But when we're out in the field, it's all business. I mean, we're not there to like a bird watcher. I mean, we got a mindset to shoot the birds that are available. But I'm so proud of the guys in my club. There's like 21 or 2 of us. Rarely, if ever, anybody targets a hen on purpose. And I'm talking hen mallards.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got pictures of just 15, 20 limits, all green. And I'm proud of the guys for that. I mean, it's a step toward conservation on a small scale. But if everybody would do it, it might turn the tide. Who knows?
Now, are you shooting a 12 gauge or are you a 28 gauge guy now?
Well, I was brought up never send a boy to do a man's job. I'm still shooting at my second or third Benelli. I've worn 2 of them out. But when I had my shoulder surgery, I went down to a 20 and shot it. And I've got 2 or 3 guys at the club that are shooting 28s. Now, when I hunt the woods with Chris and his bunch, if I'm shooting a 20 gauge, I got the biggest gun there because they're all shooting 410s and 28s.
Yeah.
But I tell people it ain't the air, it's the Indian. Okay.
A lot of truth to that.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, I mean, back in the day, I killed more ducks with 7.5s and, than anything else. But it's, you got to get them close and then get them closer sometimes. But, people get in a rush. It's almost like a NASCAR race. They're trying to be in the front and shoot first. And you've always got that to deal with. But I'd like to shoot a 28. They pattern great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not ready to turn the money loose on one right now. I know what one I want, but and the guys that are shooting, they're shooting Benellis with a 3-inch, and it's a fine little gun. I mean, I'm watching shoot geese right up there at ranges that I'm shooting with a 12 gauge.
What are your thoughts, Pat, on? Well, I know what your thoughts are. I got it when you said it a minute ago about Texas. What do you think the chances are that the conservation season lasts 5 more years?
I'm hoping a lot of states will follow Texas's lead and stop. When I first started snow goose hunting, we'd have 50 paper plates or 50 diapers. The only problem with diapers, they get rained on, they get heavy as the devil. But I know when I hunted with Marvin Tyler down there, they were using diapers just draped on sticks or white rags or whatever. And look where it's progressed now. You see snow goose spreads of 2,000 and 3,000 decoys.
And the rotaries,
again,
got those rotaries going.
oh gosh, the first time I saw one of those, I wasn't in the spread with the guys, but one of the guys that was hunting, he said that thing spinning around in front of me made me almost nauseous, and he said my dog threw up. Yeah, but I call them toys. All right, they got flappers and floppers and all this stuff going on and whatnot, and that makes it more expensive, of course. Uh, but they're always looking for a gimmick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's just like giving. There's an old joke from years ago. My dad, he told me, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but it's basically a guy was trying to make a living selling toothbrushes, and he wasn't selling very many, and he set him up a little stand on the corner and made a batch of cookies or brownies with cow manure in it. And these people, you want a cookie or a candy? And they take a bite of it and they say, "Oh, this tastes like crap." I said, "It is crap. You want to buy a toothbrush?" So it's it's the same thing with these toys that they're coming out with. And it's the American way. Each manufacturer is trying to make something that somebody else doesn't have. And these pumper ducks that Higdon and Avery and whatnot make on a very still, calm day, we'll use them just to get some motion in the water. I think they're more effective than anything else. But
Yeah.
like I say, it's a gadget and a gimmick. There's some fields you can go by, and if the wind's not blowing, if you get near that field, it will be because they got so many spinners out.
Right.
But,
I recently went to the excuse me. I recently went to the Shin Gear Film Festival last week in Memphis, and there was a film on Reelfoot Lake, and one thing it was about the old days on Reelfoot Lake. And one of the ways before like spinning wings got popular, they took a mallard taxidermy duck and they tied it in a tree, and they had like a lever system on it to where when they pull it, that duck would go from tree to the base of their blind, and then they had like a pulley system and it'd pull the duck back up. I've never seen that before.
I know where that blind is.
Do you?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, it makes sense.
Well, I mean, it's just like, jerk strings.
Yeah.
Somebody had to come up with them,
Right.
And I think those work great.
Yeah.
Now they got automatic jerk strings that they got something rotating with a handle, a lever, and it's pulling ducks. And I mean, you get dizzy watching all that. And of course, you try to send a dog through it too.
Yeah, that's when it's real tricky. Trouble.
Yeah, but like I say, everybody's coming up with something new. Just try to beat the system or do better than the next guy, and that's fine. I mean, Everybody grew up being competitive. It's just I don't, I won't hunt over a spin wing decoy.
Yeah.
I just won't do it.
What? So
Guess my
back in the diaper days, how many would y'all have to set out?
50, maybe 100.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and just right over like a stalk, whatever, a stick in the ground.
yeah, or lay it on top of some stubble. I mean, the limit was 5 snow geese back then, and so it didn't take much, and they weren't really smart at that point in time. But yeah, I can remember it'd take 2 people to carry a sack of diapers out if it was raining. I'm talking cloth diapers.
Oh, right. Yeah, you probably couldn't do it with the
Yeah.
diapers today.
Oh yeah, yeah. But paper plates would work. You could just stick them in the stubble and they wouldn't go
Like
nowhere.
vertically, like up and down.
Yeah, yeah. Almost like silhouettes.
Yeah. Would they paint anything on it, or just be a round paper plate out there?
Just round paper plate. Chinette was my favorite.
Probably because it didn't glare. It kind of had that
So
texture.
they lasted longer. And
Oh,
they had a little bit of texture to them, and they didn't shine as much as some of the other ones. Oh,
and
but yeah,
how would y'all hide?
we'd lay down on the ground with either a white suit on or in a ditch. Just button up down in a ditch. Like I say, they weren't particularly smart at that time, but they got smart quick.
I always wonder if some of the old ways would work, or have we gone so far with full bodies and everything else that they see that you wouldn't stand a shot? I don't
think you could go back to diapers and paper plates and tires and all that.
Yeah, because that was the other thing.
You could do it
for big geese.
You could probably do it in Canada, but when you go to Canada and they're shooting over Dave Smith decoys already, I mean,
yeah,
that's the easiest bird in the world is a Canadian bird. And
oh yeah,
and so when they're making and they're throwing everything they got out there, it's not going to make it easy for people at the end of the flyway. I want to go back to my question, Pat. Do you think in 5 years we will have a conservation season in Arkansas?
I'm afraid that the guide outfitter pressure is going to mandate that they keep having it. I certainly hope it doesn't for several reasons. With the conservation season running from after youth weekend to April, all this, the gunfire and whatnot, ducks, specks, whatever that aren't being hunted, they don't know that they're not being shot at. And that's just making them more jumpy, putting more pressure on them, and putting them, they're burning body fat for their flight back. And it's no big secret that specks end up getting killed during the conservation season. I've seen it. But Arkansas, I think, is finally realizing that they're not king of the world, the mallard capital of the world, as much as they used to be. It's moving further north in Missouri, and I think they're really trying to get the concept back of green timber mallards and all this, and they're trying to take the pressure off. This is the first year, and I don't know how many, that they've closed all the goose hunting during the splits. They only had a 9-day spec season instead of 16 that ran up within 4 days of duck season opening. They put the youth weekend together in February instead of during the split they'd have a youth hunt, and nobody wants to hunt a kid. I hate to say it when they're trying to rest their fields,
right?
But it's just they're going to have to, and I'm talking all states. They're going to have to think about the resource more than the whiners and the criers that want bigger limits or longer seasons or whatever. I mean, if they don't start working towards something like that, it's gonna be like a lot of other places that are just devoid of ducks. I know when I started hunting, when I grew up in East Tennessee, gosh dang, we had ducks. I mean, a lot of black ducks too. And now there's $1 million homes on every point and slough up there, and the ducks are getting pushed out of there, just like a lot of other places on y'all's part of the prairie down there. And they've already closing emperor geese again next year.
I saw that.
And it's just don't say it can't happen. And we've got so many factions and ties that don't want a duck killed, they don't want a dove killed, whatever. And they got big money, a lot of big money. And if they ever get something shut down, there's a chance that it may not open back up. But I mean, we can still have snow goose season, but running it until April. I know a lot of guys make a lot of money off of it. I mean, that's well and good, but they've got a lot of money sunk into it. I'll see two big trailers going out in the field full of decoys, and there's a lot of work involved. It's a lot more work than people that show up to hunt realize. It's just like I got guys at the club that, well, I'll be there the night before the season open. Well, what about the 3 or 4 weeks we've been over there pumping out pits and brushing this and hauling decoys and whatnot? I mean, there's a lot involved to doing what we love, I guess.
How long have you had your club?
So since '91.
91.
This one. Yeah.
You said something a minute ago that made a lot of sense, and I'd never thought of it that way. When you said with the conservation season, it puts a lot of pressure on other ducks and geese that aren't getting shot at. And I've never thought about that. But you take a peaceful used to be when goose season ended on the last Sunday in January, or duck season, whatever it was pure quiet. And within 2 weeks, those birds are all back to acting like nothing's ever jacked with them again. And they got 6 months of being quiet. And that made a lot of sense what you said, because they're not shooting them just till April. They're shooting clear up till May and June up in Canada.
Yeah.
So those snow geese don't ever get a break at all. But I'd never thought about the pressure put on your teal, your mallards, whatever duck it is, the Canada geese, whatever it is, the specklebellies. When they hear shooting and shit in the same field they're in, they don't know they're not getting shot at. So
they know that gunfire is what killed their husband, daughter, wife, son, whatever, and they're hearing it and they're thinking the same thing's happening all over again. They can't differentiate, as to what's being shot at. They just know it's that noise that they don't like. And like I say, you pressure these birds and you stress these birds to where they don't have the food source or the time or the inclination to feed heavy before they start back, and they wind up on the prairie in poor shape. Instead of laying a clutch of 10 eggs, they may just lay 4, 5, or whatever. It just, there's a lot involved with that, and biologists and the game and fish commissions, they're not always the most popular people, but they're going to have to make some hard line decisions on what they're going to do, where the birds come first and the hunters come second. I know they're wanting to generate money because everybody's got to make a living, but you can't shoot a limit of mallards in a bird bath every day. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the conservation order and what it was intended to do, it was a failure.
Yeah, just like the point system. Point system was the most farcical thing I've ever seen. I had one of my good friends, that became one of my good friends, even though we were on the other side of the tracks when we first met, was Dave Hall, U.S. Fish and Wildlife agent from Louisiana. And Dave told me, he said, during the point season, I never checked a hunter that didn't have the highest point duck last on his phone. I mean, they'd have 9 pintails and a canvasback. Well, we killed a canvasback last. It's 100 point. But, we were killing 10 pintails a day. And up in the Panhandle, I'm talking up, Hereford, that area where I hunted a lot, Dimmitt, shooting 10 pintails a day. We'd pass mallards to do that, and I mean we were just pounding them, and again legally, like these guys killing all the specks. Uh, and I think it knocked a hole in the nucleus of the population.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're talking about going to 3 next year. There again, is that greasing the squeaky wheel, or there was one study I read that pintail drakes outnumber hens 3-1. All right. Well, Drake pintail's not going to lay an egg. I mean, that's fine if everybody will do that. But most people, if it's flying, they want to shoot it and then identify later. You see on Facebook all the time, what kind of duck is this? And the guy's holding up a grebe, and but it's not hard to, especially pintails. They're one of the easiest birds there is to identify sexes with. I have guys that kill hen mallards, and they say, "Well, I thought it was a gadwall." No, that's the excuse that's been used a lot.
I don't know the gadwall.
Yeah,
but, maybe the sun was in your eyes when you shot. Maybe the sun was in your eyes when you pulled the trigger and couldn't tell.
Yeah, it was too early in the morning. Yeah, that's one thing that people hunting the timber. You get ducks in before sunup. You're shooting shadows, and one of the clubs that I've hunted before that was synonymous with mallards, they didn't leave the boat dock until the sun came up because they didn't want hen shot.
Right.
And everybody needs to take that into consideration. I get so aggravated. I see, well, they ban hens too, or if it's brown, it's down. And okay. I wish they'd never put a band on a duck because a lot of hunters, if it doesn't have a band on it, they just think throw it in the ditch and shoot another one. It's just, I don't know. It just makes them feel more of a duck hunter if they kill a banded bird. I've killed my share, don't get me wrong, but you got to be. I'd rather be lucky than good, and I always have been. I'm passing it on to my grandson. It looks like the first greenhead he killed last year on a youth hunt was banded, and first wood duck he killed in the early duck season that we have in Tennessee was banded.
Wow!
So I don't have a problem with that. The mallard he killed was banded in Plumas, Manitoba, and I've killed 3 from up there, and each one of my sons have killed one from up there.
Oh, that's real cool.
So
now your grandson.
Yeah, he fit right in.
Yeah, I think that's something that just fades with time. I think everybody kind of has that bloodthirsty time in their life, and whenever they're waterfowl hunting or whatever, and as many as they can get for the pile picture, and you want to fill up your lanyard, and then you do it long enough if you're lucky enough and you grow out of that.
Well, trust me, I'm trying to put something back that I took out.
Yeah.
Because I didn't walk a straight line when I was a kid, when I was younger. But there again, we subsisted on a lot of the game that we killed. But and people hunting these zones where all the resident geese are, where if you kill one, it's not banded, it's unusual.
Right.
They don't count as far as I'm concerned. And wood duck, we ban a lot of wood ducks in Tennessee too. I think Stephen and his son Reed and another friend of theirs, they killed their 6 wood ducks this opening day, and 3 of them were banded.
So when you were growing up,
it's always, I get a rush every time I see the dog coming back with a band flopping on it. I think, well, this is cool, but I'm not looking at the number of bands I've got. I'm looking at where this bird came from,
right,
and what it's gone through. I killed a 22-year-old brant in Mexico, and we traced his route. It was banded in a colony in Canada, where he had to fly all the way around the west coast of Canada and Alaska because they don't fly over land to get down to Mexico where it was. I think it figured like it's 5,000 miles one way. That's not counting the feeding forays. So,
Right.
10,000 times 22 years, because it was banded as a juvenile. Uh, that's a lot of mileage. It's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just absolutely fascinating to see the stories some of these bands, tell.
Yeah, it really is. So when you were growing up, you lived off of you had some of the birds that you shot you would use throughout the year.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, my granddaddy would give me 5.22 bullets, and he wanted me to come home with 5 squirrels.
Really?
Uh, and he didn't want me to head shoot them because he liked to eat the brains.
So where would you have to hit them?
So,
Where would you have to hit them?
I'd shoot him, try to shoot him heart lungs, tear up. He didn't like me to shoot him through the shoulders either. But no, when I'd come home with ducks or quail or whatever, supper was planned with them, that night, the next day, or whenever. It was just, I was a war baby. I was born in '47, and my father died as a result of Korea, and in the early '50s, we lived down on the home place with my grandmother, and that was definitely subsistence hunting.
Mm-hmm.
Because didn't have a whole lot of money for bullets, and I mean you could a box of heavy duck loads, 1.25 ounce, and I've still got a bunch of them. I could get them for 16, I think 16 cents a piece. They'd break a box, and you could buy as many bullets as you could afford.
Oh.
So it's just like going into a gas station back then. Give me $1 worth. All right. So, I'd buy 5 or 10 shotgun shells, and, before I learned to reload and stuff. No wonder I didn't kill myself reloading. I'm like, well, a little bit of this is good. Let's give it some more. No telling what the chamber pressures were, but I was shooting a Model 12, so it would hang pretty tough with some of that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I mean, when you're having to kill in order to eat, that puts a whole nother spin on things.
Well, there wasn't anything wasted. I mean, heart, liver, went into the pot for gravy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I know when my boys were young, and I'm talking 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, we'd cook ducks on the grill or whatever. And, they thought it was steak for the longest time. So that's what we'd tell them.
Yeah.
But, it's a resource that needs to be utilized. I hate the thought of seeing on some of the things I've seen where they found ditches full of birds that have been thrown in the ditches in Canada and wherever else. It's hard for me to believe that all these big kills on snow geese, a bunch of them aren't wasted. We killed the first year of the conservation season at my club, 2 days or 2.5 days, we killed 1,028 snow geese, and we cleaned every one of them. We made sausage and jerky and snack sticks, and I'd rather put snow geese in gumbo than I had Canada, to be honest with you. To me, they're not as greasy, but nothing was wasted. We actually had a family that, an old colored lady that, God bless her, she's gone now, but they'd come and get the liver and hearts out of all of them, and she made some of the best pate out of that. She'd bring us some every now and then, and gosh, that was a memory that I've got a lot of memories now. I can't remember what I had for breakfast, but I can remember, 20, 30 years ago, at this particular place and time.
Yeah.
But
yeah, my Jeff's dad always used to say whenever he was growing up, he would ask his mom what they were having for what they were eating that night, and she'd say supper. And it's funny thinking about my kids now, they want options. It's like, kid,
that's why,
different world.
Yeah. What
are we having tonight?
That's
supper.
That's why it's funny when these young people especially people on the other side of the political aisle that I'm on, talk about throwing over the country and stuff. Those people they can't make a decision. Can you imagine having to rely on these 18, 19-year-old kids to have to storm the beaches of Normandy and stuff? And it's right to the food and stuff. They don't even know how to get by. If they didn't have a grocery store, they would be in big trouble. Or a restaurant or an iPhone. They can't survive.
People think steak hamburger comes from Walmart.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's really ludicrous. But you think about it. We're in the greatest country in the world. We may not be after tomorrow, but we're in the greatest country of the world, and we've got a lot to be thankful for. I mean, I've been to third world countries, trust me. I've seen people living in cardboard boxes. You know, I've seen people, picking up a McDonald's wrapper on the street, hoping to find a piece of bread in there. I mean, it's just, we got a lot to be thankful for, and so many people take it for granted. And it goes back to all these waterfowl that are migrating south. People take it for granted, like it's never going to quit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it certainly can, and it might. So, be that as it may, if we're not thankful for what we've got, what was the old saying? Thank a farmer if, don't complain about food prices with your mouth full or whatever. Right. I mean, it's just, we're going to have to adapt. Just like waterfowl hunting is going to have to adapt. It's the greatest gunning tradition the world has ever seen. Wing shooting, waterfowl. Goes back to the days of the market hunters. People subsisted on that. They would pack them in barrels and send them to the big cities. And I tell a lot of people that, I'm 77. I tell a lot of people, you were born too late. I mean, to see some of the things that I've seen. Because even when we had a 3-duck limit, I mean, I can remember skies being black with ducks. But there weren't that many hunters either.
Yeah. I think that's a big
now everybody's got a flat brim hat and face paint and a lanyard full of eBay bands, and they're a duck hunter. So, but modern guns and modern ammunition and whatnot have really leveled the playing field.
Yeah, they have. For sure.
I can remember duck hunting all day and coming home and loading shells to where drying paper shells in my mama's oven so I could reload them. But, I wouldn't swap that for the world. I'd love to go back to it.
Yeah.
But,
the history of waterfowl hunting, I don't think there's nothing like it, like you said. The history and the heritage and the tradition. I think a lot of that's lost now.
Oh, a lot of people don't even realize it. I mean, they think it never existed.
Yeah.
I mean, one of my best friends in the whole world lives in Iceland, Cartan, and in Iceland you can sell ducks and geese on the open market, and even being able to sell them for $9-10 a piece for a gray lag, they still don't overshoot their resource.
Mm-hmm.
They police their own ranch.
Right.
Okay. You imagine what it'd be like here if you get $5 for a mallard and $10 for a goose.
Right. Be madness.
It'd be insane. But a lot of these third world countries like Argentina, most of the outfitters make sure all the birds are utilized, and there are huge numbers that get killed down there. It's just a different mindset. And I don't know what all started the trend with that. I still blame the internet to a point of that. But I want to make a few more years for sure, because I love watching my grandkids' eyes light up, and an old dog get it wagging his tail when ducks are working, and show them something. I mean, I've got grandkids that are probably more conservation minded than adults.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good thing to pass on though, because like you said, you got to do your part. Raise the ones that you control, the things that you can control, and I'm gonna do the same with my boys, and maybe we'll make a difference one day.
Well, it'd be nice. I mean, like I said, pretty soon I'm not going to have to worry about it.
Yeah, right.
I mean, that's just fact. But it's just like all this collection of waterfowl and memorabilia and whatnot I've got in my trophy house. The boys are going to have to deal with it.
That's right. That's right.
So.
How's the taxidermy business? You still busy with it?
Yeah, I'm trying to throttle back. I've told everybody I'm not going to take but 50 birds in this year. I said that last year and ended up with about 150 because, God, well, you mounted a duck for me or you mounted this. I hate to say no, but if I don't get a big cost of living with Social Security, I'm going to have to probably take in more than that. But, I enjoy doing it, but I like doing it at my own pace.
Yeah.
Y'all got one of my ducks down there in your lodge, I think.
I've got a couple of ducks. I got a canvasback you gave me about 25 or 30 years ago. And I've got a black duck that you gave me.
Yeah, black duck. Yeah,
it's a beautiful.
I remember that.
Beautiful, beautiful duck. And one of these days, I'm going to shoot a trophy Eurasian widgeon, and I'm going to have you do it for me.
Well, the first Eurasian widgeon I ever killed was in the Texas Panhandle.
You told me that up around Pampa, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yep. Came in with a flock of widgeon. That used to be Widgeon Central up there.
Mm-hmm.
That was just stupid. And pintails too, of course. But they're a neat bird. The best place to go kill one in the States is up Adak, Alaska, out there at the end of the peninsula.
Yeah. That's a long way.
They don't get American widgeon. All the widgeon they get out there are Eurasians. Or you can go to Iceland. The season runs to March 15th.
Yeah, I don't see Jeff making a trip
to Iceland.
You can kill some dandy Eurasians in March.
I would love to go to Iceland. That's a bucket list place for me.
Yeah.
Go see Kunas L'Orange.
Iceland and New Zealand are the cleanest, most hospitable countries you'll ever hunt in. Iceland it's a treat just to step off the plane in Reykjavik or Keflavik actually, but it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous country. You won't see litter. You can eat you a whale burger for lunch, and they taste pretty good. Well, they are just a big mammal, but they got 3 species of geese, and plus they got mallards and Eurasian widgeon, Eurasian green wings. And you never know when something odd might show up. But
Scotland's on my bucket list. That's where I want to go.
Where?
Scotland.
Yeah, I've got a contact over there that keeps saying, "Come on," and shoot geese on the foreshore, as they call it. I just want to kill one with an 8 gauge.
Right.
I mean, just so I can say I picked up a 15-pound double barrel and killed a goose with it. I mean, and this guy, he also has a 4 gauge.
Wow.
I don't know if my artificial shoulder will handle that.
I don't know. Might test my luck with the 8 gauge first.
Yeah.
See how far you get with that.
Yeah.
But
you go to different countries. Of course, you see different things and you create different memories. But it's nice to see the way things are done in other places and share the cuisine and the wine and all that. That, like I say, it's not just the shooting. New Zealand is it's like hunting in church. I mean, it's just pristine over there.
Mm-hmm.
And the people are so nice. You stand on the street corner scratching your head, somebody will walk up and say, "You need some help."
Right.
I mean, it's a great country. It really is. And you love a paradise shell ducks and dry fields too, and the black swans.
Yeah, they put they shoot a lot of birds over there.
Yeah, they do. Canada geese, good Lord,
Yeah.
I don't think they got a limit on them.
Yeah.
Man, my ecology professor told me one time. He said, "Man, when it comes to ecology, is the biggest screw up in the world." Okay, they brought Canada geese and mallards into New Zealand, and the Canada geese are taking over, and the mallards are breeding out the Pacific black ducks. It's just like when they released mongoose on Hawaii to kill the rats in the cane thickets. They also killed all the nene geese or some of the indigenous species, and it just, just, you know, but like I say, other countries seem to take care of their own.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, we need to do that more over here for sure. Well, listen, Pat, it's
Well-
always a lot of fun talking to you. You're a very interesting man, and it's always fun talking to guys that have seen it when it was at its best. You know what I mean?
Well, I appreciate that. You guys have a good, safe season. All right.
I hope that we
And,
will. Hopefully, we're calling for
yeah.
more rain in a couple days. So,
Pat,
it needs
Well,
to
we
go
need
somewhere.
we need rain like. Oh gosh, we need rain. Something terrible.
well, we were in the same boat, and right now, unless I'm going to get 5 inches of rain, I hope it doesn't rain for about another 3 weeks. But
Yeah.
it's going to rain. We're supposed to get another 2 inches on Thursday, Friday. God bless you, Pat. Everyone listening, go vote. I'm telling you right now, everyone needs to vote. You need to take 3 friends with you to vote, and you need to vote for Trump. I don't care what we're saying. You better vote for Trump. If you like America and you love this country, go vote. It's coming out on today. It's coming out tomorrow, right? Go vote. Today's the day to go vote.
We don't need the daughter of Satan.
Nope.
To win this.
Nope. We damn sure don't. But you got to go vote. Take 3 of your friends. Don't think just because you live in a red state that them suckers ain't going to try to cheat you. Go
That's
vote.
right. You can't bitch about it if you don't vote.
That's right. And I
exactly right.
voted so I can bitch. Pat, you have a great day. God bless you. Have a great Thanksgiving and Christmas, my friend.
Thank you, y'all too.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Bye.
The guy's one of the greatest taxidermists, one of the most interesting waterfowl people you'll ever talk. If you get a chance to meet him or go visit with him, go do it. It's Pat Pitt, and he lives outside of Memphis. Great guy.
Yes, sir.
All right.
All right.
Peace. Love y'all. Go vote. Bye.
Watch for deer. Check out all of our great sponsors. Go check out Boss Shot Shells, Pacific Calls. Use our promo code BHP25. Look, you know you want a new goose or duck call. Dive Bomb Industries, Ducks Unlimited, Bull and Briar Leather, Dirty Duck Coffee, Shin Gear, Looking Glass Podcast, Lucky Duck, Double T British Kennels, Mossberg, MLR Graphics. I can't read today. Stanfield Outfitters, Hemp Hill Farm. Use our promo code BHP, Mallard Bay, and Mitch Hall Chevrolet.